Welcome back, Joombas. Now, this build is a little bit of a weird one. Imagine being John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves, in a game with another character, also played by Keanu Reeves, Johnny Silverhand. So this is the build for you if you want to be Keanu Reeves in a game with Keanu Reeves, or if you want a character that is absolutely focused on kicking everybody's butts, because this is basically what John Wick does. So let's talk about John Wick. What do we know about John Wick from the movies? I am a huge fan of all of the John Wick movies. I love Keanu Reeves. I think he's amazing. If you haven't seen the videos of him actually practicing the gun play that he uses in the movies in the real world, he's a freaking genius with a gun in actuality too, which is pretty amazing. But what do we know about John Wick? John Wick is somebody you don't want to mess with. He is a trained assassin. He is the kind of guy you send in to get the job done, and he will kick everyone's butts on the way out if he needs to. He's very hard to kill because he is extremely deadly himself. If you look at the movies, most of the time he's using pistols or whatever weapons he happens to come across. He's able to use blades. He's able to use blunt weapons. He's able to use his fists. He can use whatever he needs in the situation in order to get out alive. And he's trained in all sorts of different types of martial arts. So he's the kind of guy who can block attacks. He can dodge attacks. So everything that we're doing in this build is going to be focused on doing a lot of damage with the kinds of weapons that John Wick would use, and being able to mix it up with your enemies and stay alive. So this build is a little bit different in some ways than the other builds that I've done. So pay close attention to this one. So before we get started with all this, come on in here for a little secret I've got for you. If you like the video, then make sure you follow the channel, subscribe. If you look here on the character build planner, and this is the same one I use on all the videos, there will be a link in the show notes underneath the video. And check this out. We are putting 20 into body and 20 into reflexes and 20 into cool, because you got to be cool if you're John Wick, right? And the point of this is to focus primarily on handguns, street brawler, and potentially cold blood. And you'll notice at the top here, I have used 65 of my 98 perk points that have been unlocked by also upgrading things like athletics, annihilation, and assault, and blades through the use of those weapons. But I've only right now designated points into street brawler and handguns. Also, cold blood will be up to 20, but I haven't designated points there as well. So what is the point of this? Is this an incomplete build? No, this is not an incomplete build. The difficulty here is that you can't put enough points into all of the different areas that John Wick would actually be good at. He is that freaking good of a combatant. You would have to fill out all of annihilation, all of assault, all of blades, and then a whole bunch of cool as well in order to actually build John Wick into the game. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving you the beginning of a template focused primarily on handguns and street brawler with enough points for you to put into whatever other area you think would be most useful. So this build is totally functional as is, even if you never put those other perk points into one of these other sections. You could just get up to 65 perk points and go for street brawler and handguns, and maybe put a little bit in cool, and you'll be fine. The build works. But let's take a look at it. So in handguns, we've upgraded everything. Everything is useful. Increasing crit chance, increasing damage, increasing headshot damage, increasing the ability to reload your pistol while moving, the ability to dodge and shoot at the same time. All of these things, everything across this is absolutely useful. And for a John Wick build, I think that this is crucial because it's handguns. That is the primary weapon that we see him use in the movies. The other side of this is street brawler. And again, we are putting the points into everything in Street Brawler. And it's not because he's the kind of guy who walks around with a big old mallet and hits people over the head. It's because when he's disarmed or he's in so close with the gun that it's hard to get a shot off, he's good with his fists. He's good with whatever blunt weapons he's able to pick up in the environment. So this side of the build is built around being able to take care of yourself when you don't have a gun. And you can use that very effectively in the game as well, increasing combo damage, increasing damage with weapons, increasing your armor while blocking. We see that a lot in the movies where somebody's coming at him and he's got to put his arms up and block. That works in this build because that adds to your survivability. Successful attacks with blunt weapons regenerate health. And again, let's take a look at what happens in the John Wick movies. He takes a freaking beating. He's not always the guy who gets in and out like some 80s action flick and never gets a scratch on him. He gets hit. He gets hit hard. He gets shot sometimes, and yet he keeps on going. It's like the anger fuels him. So some of these abilities add to that in his own ability to regenerate health. Also, one of the things that is very useful for this is the ability to knock out and stun enemies. And that's another thing that we see in the movies. And that's a typical movie trope is you hit somebody over the head, it stuns them, you move on to the next guy, that guy slowly gets back up, you hit him again. That's exactly how this can work. Plus, you can also do more damage to people when they're stunned. And there's stuff like payback, increased damage with blunt weapons by 3%. That's fully tapped out here at 3 perk points for every 1% of missing health. So there's a lot of these finishing type blow perks as well. You get somebody down in health and it does even more damage the more damage they are. So you're able to hit hard, you're able to come in with a flurry of blows, and then you get that final punch in and it knocks them out, it kills them, it puts them out. So that's the primary focus of the build here. Now, what about cool? Why do we have cool here? Cool is not for stealth. It is for cold blood. And cold blood is this wonderful section of the perk tree. And I've used this on some of the other builds as well. Normally, you would think to go body and athletics if you're looking to do things like increase the tankiness of a character. But I would recommend with John Wick to go cold blood. And there's a number of reasons. And I haven't specifically picked the perk points out here because I think that this is the section of the build that you will want to build out based on how effective you feel you are in the game. If you need more tankiness, if you feel like you're getting in there, you're mixing it up and you're still taking too much damage, then go build out cold blood and look for the perks that add resistances, look for the perks that increase your health. Things like when your health reaches 45% of max health of cool blood is automatically activated. You increase health regen inside and outside of combat by 50% per stack of cold blood, things like that. Use that side of cold blood in order to increase your resistances and your health regen. If you feel like you need to do more damage with pistols and melee, then that side of cold blood can be used as well. Increase hot headshot damage by 50%. Reducing weapon recoil is beneficial if you're doing a lot of shooting with your pistols. Landing a critical hit applies a stack of cold blood, could work for both tankiness and doing more damage. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. If you want more diversity in weapons, because that's also another trait of John Wick, is the ability to pick up a rifle or a shotgun or a blade, whatever else is there. That's part of why I'm recommending building out assault and blades. Also, you could do annihilation. Before we get to that, let me explain something very quickly here. In order to unlock more perk points, you have to level up things in this section here. As these rank up, you unlock more perk points. The way that I would frame this build is, as you are leveling, use all the weapons you're getting, so that you continue to unlock things like annihilation by using shotguns and light machine guns. You use athletics, which, you're going to regenerate health, maybe put a point into this one right here to start out with. And then you can begin unlocking more athletics as you're running around and you're taking damage. And then also in reflexes, make sure that you are using rifles and submachine guns when you pick them up. Make sure you're using blades when you pick them up, but keep a handgun and keep a blunt weapon in your repertoire in order to really do damage when you need it, and build those out first. And if you find that your John Wick really likes shotguns, then start using some of these perks from Annihilation. And I would recommend using the ones that increase your damage the most, because you want to be as deadly as you possibly can. The same thing goes for reflexes. If you're going to be building out assaults because you're using rifles and submachine guns, both are things that John Wick would use, then again, build out your damages and your crit. He's not as known for being a sniper, although I'm sure he can use sniper rifles. He's trained with basically everything. Or you could go blades. If you feel like you're getting a bunch of knives, the whole, killing a man with a pencil thing, I guess that would technically fit under blade because it's pointy. I don't know, but you could build out this side as well. The trick here is that you have a total based on the things that I've leveled up in this build of 98, and the perks that I've put in right now, including just the starting one from athletics here for a little bit of regen, is 66. You have a limited pool. You're not able to put everything in everything, but you're going to have to choose. And I would recommend going with what works for you so that your build makes the most sense for the way you are going to play John Wick in your game. That's it. Now, I know that leaves some stuff in the air, and maybe some of you guys won't like that, but maybe some of you will, because I think a character like John Wick is so powerful in a game like this that it's going to take some sculpting on your own side for this one, but I hope this gets you started. So make sure you come back for more builds for Cyberpunk and the Cyberpunk Lorecast. We talk about all sorts of things on this channel. Make sure you follow the channel. Come back for more. I will talk to you guys later.